Coming up next on Making Moves, the JTA has a new man in charge. We'll meet him and learn his immediate goals for the authority. We'll also meet the newest members of the JTA board and find out how their experience will help shape the JTA going forward, and how the JTA is working with some local biking enthusiasts to make the roads a safer place to ride. I'm Joyce Morgan-Danford. Making Moves starts right now. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Season 5 premiere of Making Moves. I'm Joyce Morgan-Danford. Not only is it a brand new season for us, but now we know who will lead JTA into the future. His name is Nat Ford. 6 months after longtime JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock stunned the local transportation community by announcing his retirement, the JTA board selected Mr. Ford to run the agency. Here's a quick look at Nat Ford's resume. Over the past year, Mr. Ford has led the Ford Transportation Group in Atlanta, which specialized in providing transportation planning and traffic engineering services. From 2006 to 2011, Ford was the Executive Director, CEO of the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency, also known as MUNI. MUNI is one of America's oldest public transit agencies, dating back to 1912. It's also the 7th largest system in North America, currently carrying over 200 million riders per year. As the head of MUNI, Ford was responsible for a transit network consisting of buses, trolleys, light rail, cable cars, and a heritage streetcar line. Then from 2000 to 2006, Ford was the Chief Executive Officer of Metropolitan Atlanta's Transportation Authority, better known as MARTA. There he was responsible for 4,200 employees and an operating and capital budget totaling nearly $800 million. MARTA's multimodal operations included more than 680 buses and a rail system of more than 300 rail cars with 38 stations, 48 miles of track, and 23 million miles of rail service each year. Mr. Ford will join us for the first time as JTA's new Chief Executive Officer and the new co-host of Making Moves on our next show, so look forward to that. Now, although the board voted unanimously in favor of hiring Nat Ford as its new Executive Director and CEO, it was far from an easy decision. Making Moves' Bill Milnes has more now on the selection process and how the board chose Nat Ford.
A packed house assembled in the JTA boardroom to watch the 7-member panel interview the 3 prospective finalists. But before the process began, Corrine Brown, the longtime Florida Congresswoman and a member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, weighed in on the qualities she felt JTA's next CEO needed to have.
And I met with all of them for over an hour. I thought all of them could do an excellent job. How do you grow a system but keep the costs down and move people, goods, and services?
Then all 3 finalists, Steve Bland, Nat Ford, and Frank Martin, gave presentations to the board and were quizzed by board members on various management and transportation topics. The board then narrowed their choice to 2 by eliminating Bland, the current director, at Pittsburgh's Transit Authority. After some further deliberation, the 7-member board selected Nat Ford as JTA's new boss with a unanimous vote.
It ended with 3 outstanding candidates, and we selected a final choice was an outstanding choice as a result of that. Somehow made it difficult. It'd been easier if the candidates were not so good. But our board worked well together. Communication was well within the law, limits of the law, and I think it was an outstanding outcome.
Despite having been the director of much larger transit authorities in both Atlanta and San Francisco, Ford said the opportunity to lead one of the few agencies in the country that manages both transit operations and road and bridge building made the Jacksonville job very appealing.
I think clearly the multimodal aspect of this agency is what attracted me to it. It has the responsibility for transit, but in addition, it builds roads, it builds bridges and things of that nature, and maybe there is a greater opportunity there. When I was in San Francisco, I got an opportunity to see how bikes, pedestrians, taxis, parking and automobiles, as well as transit, all fits together. And if you work out plans and solutions that look into improving all of those entities, you have a better holistic transportation system.
But Ford also knows, like many transit agencies across the country, funding is always a struggle here. One major hurdle he knows he'll have to take on very soon, the expiring 6-cent gas tax that generates about $28 million a year for JTA, or about 1/4 of its budget.
It's been my experience in terms of this industry, we're always pressed with resources, and we have to find creative ways to reduce expenditures and at the same time look for creative solutions financially to increase our revenue. So I've always seen that challenge from day one, and I embrace those challenges, and I get excited about finding solutions to them.
It's a job JTA Chairman Ed Burr thinks Ford is certainly ready to take on.
Well, I think his operational background probably stands out the most. When you get someone who leads MARTA and leads San Francisco and leads large organizations like that, then I mean that is a unique opportunity to be able to hire that person to help take Jacksonville and take the JTA to the next level.
Ford said he's thrilled to be the new CEO for the Jacksonville Transportation Authority, and he looks forward to getting together with the best and brightest at the authority and taking the JTA to the next level.
Over the years working in different communities around the country, there's one common theme that we have individuals who are very committed to transportation working in these organizations, and it's galvanizing all of that talent to face the challenges, and they show up every day, different challenges, and I feel that that's been kind of my strength over the years.
In Jacksonville, Bill Milnes, JTA Making Moves.
Mr. Ford is not the only new leader at the JTA. The Board of Directors has also seen an influx of new members over the past few months. Nearly half the board has turned over, including the loss of former board chairman Cleve Warren. Now, that kind of change can sometimes be a major disruption to any organization, but new members Scott McCaleb, Greg Evans, and Isaiah Rumlin have brought their own special talents and experience to these difficult jobs and haven't missed a beat. There are 7 members of the JTA Board of Directors. 3 are appointed by the governor, 3 by the mayor, and the 7th member is the District 2 Secretary of the Florida Department of Transportation. Appointed in February by Governor Rick Scott, Scott McCaleb is the Vice President of Business Development at Vulcan Materials Company. McCaleb commends the work of the agency he now will help take into the future.
Well, the impact of the Jacksonville Transportation Authority on Duval County is incredible. I mean, just look around and see the bridges and the roads and that have been built directly as a response to the work that the Jacksonville Transportation Authority has done and through the funding that's been available to do that. And we need to be mindful of that as we go forward, that we need to continue to have funds to keep moving the roads, construction, and those types of activities forward, in addition to funding our transit system.
Greg Evans is the FDOT representative on the board. His term also began in February. Evans manages the agency's operations for 18 counties throughout North and Central Florida. He says both the FDOT and JTA have enjoyed a long working partnership, and he's confident the cooperation between the two agencies will continue. And while some have suggested that JTA get out of the road building business and focus strictly on transit, Evans disagrees, saying, quote, "History has documented that previous work by JTA to improve the transportation systems of Jacksonville has led to economic prosperity. For Jacksonville to remain the growing economic hub of Northeast Florida, great emphasis must continue to be applied and devoted to transportation." And the newest board member, Isaiah Rumlin, was appointed by Mayor Alvin Brown. He is the owner of Rumlin Insurance Agency, and he also serves as the president of the Jacksonville chapter of the NAACP. Rumlin is no stranger to JTA. He also served from 1987 to 1991. Though it's the same position, the challenges are different.
one of our top priorities at that time was to eliminate tolls off the interstate, off these side streets, roads. And we were very successful.
Rumlin also recalls another big project during his first term, the Skyway. It was an endeavor that started with lots of hope and support, but it's still a source of contention now.
Because it never was fully developed to make a major difference as we speak today.
3 new board members, 3 new totally different personalities, but all 3 of these board members do have something in common: transportation-related experience, nearly 40 years of it.
Well, I felt like that my experience in the supporting transportation funding and the development business, government affairs, I felt like that I had something to offer to the board. And that, combined with my business experience, I felt like that we could bring business principles to the board and to enhance the mission of the Jacksonville Transportation Authority.
The experience and diversity of the members is the strength of this board. Rumlin's return to the board comes at a time when the authority will be searching for more funding options.
We're going to have to find some other way, and I think other than tolls, to fund the roadway system over at the authority. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge.
These new members join the entire board in selecting Nat Ford as the executive director and CEO who will lead JTA into the future.
I think he's going to come in and continue to and build on what Michael have done over the years and take it to another level.
Well, he certainly has the experience and the skills to do a good job in terms of providing that leadership and that regionalization and public-private partnerships and all of those things. So we're looking forward to seeing him do a great job.
Still to come on Making Moves, we'll learn more about a new project aimed at helping public transit and bicyclists safely coexist on area roadways. And the latest on Greyhound moving to LaVilla. We'll be right back.
There's no better place to be on game day than Everbank Field watching your hometown Jaguars. And there's no better way to get to the stadium than on the JTA Stadium Shuttle. Single game tickets start at just $7. Buy your tickets online at jtafla.com, at the JTA Admin Building downtown, or at any JTA Stadium Shuttle lot. The JTA Stadium Shuttle. We've been all in for 18 consecutive years.
We live in a global community where information can be delivered instantly. But having access to information and getting accurate information don't necessarily go hand in hand. That's where we come in. We are Making Moves, the First Coast's premier source for transportation news. At Making Moves, we strive to deliver timely, reliable, and pertinent information about the transportation stories that affect our community. From transit to roads, we've got it covered. Making Moves, now on Facebook.
Welcome back to Making Moves. It's no secret that JTA hopes to one day have a multimodal regional transportation hub adjacent to the convention center. Now, part of the plan includes moving Greyhound from its current downtown location to the planned site in LaVilla. In October, the JTA board took a giant step in that direction as it approved a 40-year lease agreement between the authority and Greyhound for an intercity bus terminal. JTA will own the land and the building and lease it to Greyhound starting at $46,000 per year. Financing is being provided through both federal and state grants. The terminal building will be approximately 9,800 square feet, including ticketing, waiting area, baggage area, a cafe, and much more. The Florida Department of Transportation is planning to begin construction early next year on a new flyover at US 1 in Nocatee. The road will cross over US 1 and the Florida East Coast Railroad and shorten the drive between Nocatee and Interstate 95 by some 3 miles. The 2-lane flyover bridge will connect Nocatee's Valley Ridge Boulevard to County Road 210 on the west side of US 1. The $13 million project is expected to be completed in late 2014. Well, JTA is increasing its fleet, adding nearly 100 new operators. About half of the newly minted drivers will serve fixed route passengers. The other half may be new to JTA, but they are very familiar with the community shuttle service that they'll be providing. As Making Moves' Eugene Lindsay explains, there's a lot of preparation and excitement as these new drivers get rolling on a new career.
No, sir, this heads out towards Talleyrand.
Carlos Arrington says he's been waiting for this day for a long time now, for the opportunity to serve JTA customers as a full-time JTA employee.
Carlos has been driving the community shuttle for almost 6 years now, but as a subcontractor through First Transit. But now the Jacksonville Transportation Authority is no longer outsourcing community shuttle service. That means these drivers are directly employed by JTA. And many drivers like Carlos Arrington here say they are happy to be officially on board.
Well, my uniform was tailor-made. I had it fitted, I had it cut to my size, and I was really looking forward to putting it on this morning, and I'm extremely happy about becoming a JTA employee. All right, you have a nice day. Okay. All right, bye now.
JTA officials say this is a smart move all around. It will bring significant savings to the authority and improve service for its customers.
We think that our service is going to be a lot better with being managed directly by JTA, being managed by us managing the operators. We also have a very rigorous and protracted training environment for our new operators that extends 7 weeks before they can actually operate the service.
From classroom instructions,
determine if the customer needs medical assistance. Do not attempt to diagnose the customer. So remember those two.
To knowing every aspect of the vehicle.
That's your master switch right there. Okay, turn it 2 clicks to your right.
Before we even drive the bus, they're teaching us how to look at everything about the bus, your lights, the tires, the front of the bus, the back of the bus. Key in before you take that bus off. Everything should be in place.
Our hiring process is extremely rigorous. We have incorporated some best practices and background checks and other things to ensure that we have the best operators employed with JTA. We also have new vehicles that are coming on board.
For drivers like Yolanda Emanuel, this really is a dream come true.
I've always had a dream to want to drive a big bus, to know what that feels like, making the turns, and just passengers also being able to take people where they need to go and being able to make sure they're safe. And I think for me, that's what it's all about. Like, wow, it's a new career for me.
For JTA Making Moves, I'm Eugene Lindsay.
There are hundreds of dedicated cyclists in Jacksonville. Each time they take to the road, they are taking their lives into their hands. A car door opening in their path, a vehicle pulling out of a driveway, or a large truck or bus driving past just inches away. That's scary stuff. It's also why JTA and some local bicycling groups have teamed up to help each other learn more about safely sharing the road. And we are joined today to talk about this new venture with JTA's Steve Arrington and Steve Tocknell, an avid cyclist and a member of the Florida Bicycle Association. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. This is pretty exciting and kind of a unique venture that's going on. So, Steve Arrington, please tell us how it got started.
Well, Joyce, our CEO, Mr. Blaylock, was watching a television interview, which Stephen Tocknell was on, and was interested in getting together and seeing how we could benefit each other. Obviously, what came of that is a presentation that Stephen and several others made to groups of our drivers in terms of sensitizing them, sort of like defensive driver training, if you will, in terms of cyclists and their needs and their viewpoints in terms of how they're sharing the road.
And that's what you wanted to get, Mr. Tocknell, from that initial meeting?
Yeah, we did 8 presentations in July so that we could cover all of the bus drivers. Not all the bus drivers can be in the same place at the same time because of their jobs. So we had 20-minute presentations spread out over the month, and we had all the drivers there, and we were able to show them with the PowerPoint what to expect from bicyclists and what they should do in terms of interacting with bicyclists.
So what did you think from their responses?
I was a little surprised. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but they're out there every day. They had a lot of experiences to share, and a lot of specific stories they could tell, and basically make the situation easier for bicyclists to understand.
Okay, so from all of this, now we have a new project.
Yes, we do. I was fortunate enough to see one of the presentations and thought it was an excellent approach to the entire training situation, and discussed that with other folks, including Stephen, and we decided that we could enhance that presentation and turn it into a regular part of our training program through a DVD, along with a second part of that, which would be a relatable presentation focused to cyclists in terms of how they need to look at the JTA drivers and their complex job on the road. So we are now approaching it from both angles, trying to ensure that each of them has a good understanding of the other's issues and difficulties.
It seems like it would be easier to get that information to the drivers rather than getting it to all cyclists, because there are just hundreds of cyclists out there. I mean, how do you get that message to them as well?
That's where the cyclist agencies come into play.
We have 2 or 3 different bicycle organizations that are pretty well organized. They're up on Facebook and they do social media, and we have a bicycle pedestrian committee that's active under the city of Jacksonville that meets every month. So we're expecting that we'll be able to make presentations also to the North Florida Bicycle Club. But you're right, it's much harder to reach out to bicyclists than it is to bus drivers. We're depending on the bus drivers to be the professionals when they interact with bicyclists, so that somebody basically can take charge of the situation.
From a safety standpoint, this has to be a major step, considering the fact that when you look at the roads really don't look like they're meant for sharing very much.
Jacksonville is especially hazardous for bicyclists and pedestrians. In the United States, we have the 3rd highest rate of fatalities for pedestrians of the 50 largest cities in the country. And it's a serious problem. The Florida DOT is working on it. The city is starting to get involved with it, and the JTA is out in front with this program. We have a lot of ground to cover, and with the organizations that we have and the commitment to work on this problem, I'm very hopeful that things will be better going forward.
Speaking of the video, what's the timeline to getting that video up and running?
Well, we're working very hard on it, and we believe within as much as 30 days, certainly no more than 60 days, then the initial presentations and DVDs will be ready, at which time that we'll announce that on our website. There'll actually be links for people to watch that, so it'll always be available for new cyclists, and as well as a routine portion of our driver training program.
And are you just thoroughly excited about this new venture?
I am very, very, very pleased. It's something that we think we can take out of town, basically, and show other cities and states, and hopefully across the country, because this is something that is going to need to be addressed. There are more people riding buses, and there are more and more people on bicycles all over the country, and this is only going to be a greater need as we go forward.
And you know, when we're thinking about regionalizing everything that JTA is doing, this is just one more component, because bicycling is an alternate means of transportation, just as taking a bus.
Absolutely. And we do try to be as multimodal as we can. JTA was one of the first agencies in Florida to have bike racks on 100% of our buses, as a matter of fact.
That's right. Bob!
That's right.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Mr. Tocknell, and thank you, Mr. Arrington, for joining us. We appreciate it. Well, still to come on Making Moves. JTA's Star Card Network is expanding. We'll tell you the newest locations you can buy your cards. That story is straight ahead.
When you've been around as long as we have, you learn to take some punches. You learn you're not always going to get it right. But the most important thing is to remember why you're here and to never quit trying. When they said we were building the bridge to nowhere, we didn't just throw up our hands and quit. No, we kept going. And when they told us not to build the new road to the beach, that there was nothing out there, we had the vision to see what it could be. You see, sometimes you have to go against the conventional wisdom and trust your gut. It's important to believe in yourself and know that you're doing the right thing even when people don't always share your vision. There are times when our vision has been years ahead of its time. We don't let that stop us either. We keep our eyes focused clearly on the future without ever forgetting the past. We keep planning and moving forward. Nobody has to tell us. We know that people are counting on us to do the right thing. There are people counting on us to build that bridge, to get them to work or school and return them home safely to their families. There are people counting on us to think about their needs. Oh, not just for today, but 10, 20, even 50 years from now. That is what we do. We are JTA.
You're watching JTA Making Moves.
Welcome back to Making Moves. The newest feature of our Star Card network is now up and running. One of our past partners, the Downtown UPS store located next to Hemming Plaza on Hogan Street, sold the first Star Card via the new R-Pass system. Previously, only paper 7 and 31-day tickets were available. Now you can purchase all Star media at this UPS store. JTA plans on expanding the Star network to all of its 43 past partner locations over the next few months. And of course, we'll keep you updated on those developments on future episodes of Making Moves. And before we go, we are happy to announce that Making Moves has once again been honored by the Florida Public Transportation Association, winning the 2012 Award of Merit at its annual Marketing Awards ceremony in Daytona Beach. This is the 4th award that Making Moves has won from the FPTA in the 5 years we've been on the air. So we thank the FPTA. And we, of course, thank you, our viewers, because keeping you informed on all things transportation is why we produce this show. And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. Don't forget to join us for our next show, as we will have JTA's new Executive Director and CEO, Nat Ford, with us here for the first time. But until then, you can watch us anytime on the web at jtafla.com, and you can also stay in touch with us on Facebook and on our YouTube channel, JTA 904. For the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan-Danford. We'll see you the next time we're Making Moves.